Here's what I look for whenever I'm making a mobile home park offer. All right, first thing I ask them, how much are you bringing in? Right? Well, first thing I ask them is, would you consider selling? And if they say yes, possibly, whatever, how much are you bringing in a month? Well, I don't know. I got to get with the tax person or this or that. It's like, no problem. What are you bringing in per lot? Like, what are you charging per lot? They'll know that answer. And if they own the homes, they'll be like $800 a month. It's like, okay, so you own the homes. Yeah. Or they're like $400, $500 a month. Okay, so the tenant owns the homes. Yeah. Okay, cool. How many spots do you have? I've got 50, right? Whatever. And are they all full? Well, there's probably like 20 vacant. Okay, so there's nothing on those pads. So you're renting out 30 right now at $800 a month. Yeah, that sounds about right. Cool. So do you think you're bringing in around $20,000 a month? Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, cool. So you've got, even though, that would equal $24,000, they don't know. There's some vacancy in those 30s normally, right? So now you've got that rough number. Let's say it's $20,000 a month. Like, roughly, right? Because you need to get to that. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll call you back, whatever. They're not getting the deals, right? Like, you got to get through these conversations. I don't even want to call them hard conversations because they're not hard. It's just people don't know how to navigate them. All right, so 20 grand a month. All right, so in your head, and there's 50 spots, but 30 are occupied. I'm actually going to run the 2% rule on this, make it super, super simple, right? So 20 grand a month, divided by 2% is like $400,000, right? Now, you can look at this like a cap rate, and I'm going to break all this stuff down here, so I don't want to confuse you. Under 40 units, I like to use the 2% rule because in my personal experience, and a lot of people are arguing, that's cool, there's different ways to do this. I'm just telling you, I've done well with these parks up to this point. I haven't been underwater. I've made good money on them. I've made a lot of money on every one I've ever done, right? Now, you're going to get less deals, right? Less qualified leads, less deals, underwriting the way I'm going to teach you, but you have a very, very low likelihood of failing, right? I mean, operations are a different story, but at least failing, buying it right. I'm at least teaching you how to buy it right now, in my personal opinion, all right? So let's just say that there was 41 spots for the sake of it. We already did the 30 divided by 2%. We were 400,000. Say there was like over 40. All right. And they're bringing in 20,000 a month. So what I want you to do is divide that number by 2 for 50% expenses, because it costs money to make money. It costs money to run a park. All right. And I want you to multiply that by 12. All right. So that's 120,000 NOI that you're estimating. All right. NOI is net operating income. That's what's left over after everything except mortgage. You don't count debt in NOI. All right. Because you can't control, like, if you buy it, you're going to have different debt than they did. So that's the reason it's that way. So anyway, in a good cap rate to buy is like 10%. All right. 10 cap, which is 10%. All right. Meaning you would divide NOI, which was 120,000. You follow me? 120,000 divided by 10%. Now you're at 1.2 million. All right, so that's a big difference if I did the math right on the 2% earlier. All right, but what people don't realize and why this is such a good lesson is having extra spots adds so much value. And the reason I don't underwrite on a cap rate on lower spots is just because, and I might look at it because there's actually 50 there in that instance. I'm gonna look at every different lens, but it's because they're worth less. Like, people that buy parks with like low count lots, there's no room to expand. Like, so pretty much they're just holding their money there, like a savings account if it's making money, A lot of people want to make money, especially like value add. That's why parks are so attractive. Now you can get into the institutional stuff, which that's a whole different story, but I'm just teaching you every day. So let's just say 41 spots, 20 grand a month, you divide it by, you took the 50% expenses out because they don't have financials. Now, if they have financials, this helps a lot, but I'm just giving you back of the napkin math. This is why most people don't get parks and they really want one, and because people don't have their financials, you know? So anyway, back of the napkin, you're like, okay, I think this thing makes 10 grand a month net. Pretty fair, you know? Multiply by 12 months in a year, it's 120,000. We want to buy on a 10 cap. All right, so now we're at 1.2 million. All right, cool. So like, you need to know some other stuff because there's discount factors that come in play. Is it city sewer? Is it city water? All right. And the reason that's important is if there's a well, I would run personally. If you're not afraid of a well, I would be, because you're a water company and you're regulated by the government, and you have to do reporting, and you have to provide people clean drinking water. Just gonna say that. I run, I pass, I don't care what the deal looks like. I don't care. If there's a well, I won't do it. But anyways, city water, check. Okay, cool. And then is there city sewer? No. You need a discount for septic. All right? Like, septic's not horrible in my opinion. Except the site that I looked at yesterday that was septics everywhere. They didn't know where they were at, buried underground. That's a whole other story. Septic's okay. I own parks with septic, right? Like, it's okay. City sewer is the cat's meow, because you can just plug in units and it's so easy, right? So much more cost efficient. With septic, like, you gotta, if you need to put one in, you gotta go through, you know, your county, you gotta get permits, they're expensive, you gotta maintain them, you have to have service contracts in Texas. It's a big deal. So you're at that 1.2 at a 10 cap. I'd at least try to get a little discount, you know, if there's septic. I wouldn't make it a deal breaker if you can't get off that 1.2. Like, if they're at 1.2, you're at a true 10 cap, I would lock it up. I would put it under contract with a 45-day due diligence period, and just say I'm going to close 30 days after that. All right. And then during due diligence, which I'm going to do another video on, you're going to scrutinize everything. You're going to get their bank accounts. You're going to get their rent roll. You're going to get everything. And they're not going to have a lot of stuff. And you're at least have a bank account. You've got to see that. And like the lady yesterday that, I think we're going to lock this one up, but she didn't have anything. And she had a spreadsheet. And I was like, well, give me this spreadsheet, right? So like, sometimes people aren't going to have stuff. You know, it's pretty normal. So I personally look at stuff at a 10 cap, just like I said. Here's another thing I want you to keep in mind. What can something be worth, right? A lot of appraisers, like a lot of these will trade at 6 to 8 caps. So you run that math in an 8 cap. Say that they were netting, you know, 10 grand a month, 120 a year, you know, at an 8 cap. I can't do that math in my head right now, but you know, you could divide that 120 instead of by a 10, but by an 8. I'm just assuming it's like 1.6 million or something like that. Whatever that is, that's what it can be worth. So what's cool is if you follow this formula, you end up with equity and cash flow. All right. Now, don't get me wrong, that's just up front. So great, you lock it up, everything looks good up front. It's got city water, but it's got a septic, you know, and you've got infill spots. Okay, well, you looked at what it could appraise for, possibly as is, if the income's right. Now, what could it be worth if you filled up, you know, say we were talking about 41 units and there's 50. What would happen if you filled in the other 9 spots? Right, at, you know, 500 lot rent a month, and you're adding another 50 grand to the NOI, so you add another, you know, 500,000 at a 10 cap, so another probably 600,000 or 700,000 in value to the park, right? So you bought it with 400 equity and you added 600 equity, you made $1 million. in equity. You can't eat equity, but you made $1 million. What you can eat is a refinance money, right? So you do the value add, you buy it right, you do the value add, and then you refinance at 75% LTV. Whatever you think it's worth times 75% minus, whatever you owe, that's the cash you're going to get out of it. So that is the quick and dirty of how I like to look at these parks and how my thinking is whenever I'm underwriting these parks. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Leave any questions, comments, concerns, whatever. RV parks also are a bit different because they're more transient, but you're going to do the same diligence. It's going to be the same calculations. Like I said, when you get it, we'll do a diligence video, so it'll cover that, but you're going to use the same math with RV parks. I like mobile home parks better unless the RV park has capacity to put tiny homes or mobile homes, because you can get a steady base of income with the transient income. I like that. I'm a big fan of long-term steady income. So anyway, I hope this helped. Follow me at Travis Wells, Facebook, Travis Clay Wells on Instagram. We've got a YouTube channel I'm posting these to. My podcast is Property Profits. You're going to hear that on here. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time.